I wanted to start off and ask you, Sandy. I'm going to call you Sandy. I'm not going to call you Captain. I'm going to make
That's
sure.
fine.
Um,
Perfect.
I mean, well, first off, congratulations. I saw you got engaged over the weekend, so congrats on that. Um, I would
Thank
imagine,
you.
I would imagine though that I mean, my wife and I watched this job during, or watched Below Deck and Below Deck Med. During that's how I got into it. It was during the pandemic. And the two of us were kind of talking about it. It was like, how is it? It must be impossible to maintain some kind of a normal relationship, or at the very least, you must put a huge amount of effort into it. Like,
I think before FaceTime and video chat, it was very difficult to
yeah,
maintain a relationship. That's the truth.
yeah,
Now that you have visual like we do now,
yeah.
it's easier. So, but again, I'm only away for 6 weeks filming. So that's also, and when I'm home and it's like local boats. So
Right.
I'm not on for weeks and months at a time.
Yeah. I mean, do you think? And obviously, with your experience and everything, I mean, obviously, yachting as an industry and as a career choice, I mean, it obviously does appeal to certain people, doesn't it? Like, I mean, I do think that it. I mean, and I don't mean I don't mistake that. I mean that in the sense of I think people that um
Right. Yeah.
are more willing to be experimental, I suppose, are more willing to take on new adventures that don't want a 9 to 5 kind of job.
That's right. I think this industry is open to all for sure. It's meant some people can do it, and some people can't. You do have to leave home if you want to go to sea.
Yeah, of
There
course.
are other land-based jobs, of course, but working on a boat is not for the lighthearted. You have to work hard, but you also play hard. But at the same time, you're away from everyone. So your family becomes a family on board, and you have the same kind of arguments, the same kind of makeups, and you reset, you go back out and you serve.
Yeah. Does it, I mean, I mean, have you ever kind of, I guess, tried to kind of, I don't know, I suppose, kind of quantify the appeal of the show? And what I mean by that, I mean, I can, I, I will freely admit this. I don't watch reality TV all that often, but I absolutely love Below Deck. I really, really do. That's not intended as an insult to other reality TV shows. I just feel that I think Below Deck has a lot to say about working environments and I, in a strange kind of way, I guess like kind of like class structures is in the fact that it's very much uber wealthy people that, and again, this is just my opinion, but the people that generally tend to charter yachts, or at least people that tend to charter them on Below Deck, they come with very stringent demands, and they come with very kind of I guess kind of excessive kind of demands, maybe. Or am I being unfair to the people that do it?
So I'll explain it this way. When you go to a restaurant, you're spending hundreds of sterling, right?
Sure.
Pounds.
Euros.
And your food is subpar. Are you going to like say something about it? Do you feel like you can be justified to say something about it
Sure.
because you're not what you want
Well,
or
I mean,
what you
Irish people famously, Irish people are famous for not sending food back to restaurants. That's the thing we do here, and it's primarily because we're just too embarrassed to say something is bad, which is a bad thing. We should do that, but yeah, you kind of touched on something there. Like, I mean, okay, I understand. Like, there's a thing of like, if you're working in the service industry, you should strive for the best and all the rest of it. But I mean, seen some episodes where people just seem to be completely unreasonable. I mean,
Yes, of course. You have mean people and rude people. That's not necessary. But if a client boards the vessel, they spend a lot of money. They deserve to have their expectation met. Sometimes we can do that, sometimes we can't. And when we can't, that's my job to say why. And at the same time, they don't have to be rude about it, but you can do a correction by being kind and saying, hey, by the way, this was on our preference sheet. We didn't get that. Could you explain why? Well, maybe we couldn't order it in, or maybe for some reason, or we just forgot. If we forgot, then that's on us. But at the same time, they don't have to be mean about it. They could just say, report back to their broker. We weren't satisfied. Here are the reasons why. Then that comes back on us.
yeah. Do you I mean, having, I guess, like, I mean, you mentioned that there, like, you're only out filming for 6 weeks, but I would imagine having a camera shoved in your face for 6 weeks is pretty goddamn annoying. I mean, you're
Yeah.
just there, I mean, you're there trying to do your job. And obviously, as well, because it's, you're a captain of a yacht and everything, that's safety critical. So you're dealing with expensive equipment, you're trying to dock the boat and everything else. I mean, I guess, how do you do? I mean, do you just ignore the cameras and just, or
Yes.
do you regard them, or how do you do it? Like,
Yeah. So they call it the fourth wall. We're not allowed to communicate with them. That wall really works. It's that invisible wall. So yes, it's easier to work. At the first season for me was difficult. It got easier. This year's even easier for me. At the same time, we're in the service business. So when you look at these camera people and everybody behind the scenes, you want to serve and help them, but you can't. So that fourth wall really works if you respect it.
hmm. Does I mean, when you've mentioned there, but that when you go out on sort of local charters when you're back home, do you? I mean, do you miss the camera crew? Do you miss sort of, I guess,
No,
in terms of
no,
like, when you're being watched? Obviously, you're going to perform differently, I would imagine. No.
no, because again, the fourth wall really works, and I do my job as a captain. I don't think about them shooting me. I don't critique my behavior because of the cameras. Clearly, you could see that on TV, but I don't miss them. When I go home, I miss my family.
Yeah.
So it don't miss us either. It's a lot of work. We're like, bye. We hug it out. Well done. We made it. We cheer each other, and then we all go our separate ways.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, all right, I'm done. Goodbye. Yeah, I get that. I'm wondering. I mean, obviously, you're a person that doesn't. I Have there been moments on the show, anything specific that you've watched back, and I'm not saying you feel ashamed of, but certainly you think, I could have done that better. I mean, I would imagine that is something that must, for somebody like you that is so kind of driven to excel and driven to be the best, when you kind of see stuff back, I mean, it must grate at you a little bit.
Yes, of course. Every season I watch, I critique myself and think, wow, maybe I pause a little longer. Maybe I trust a little more. Maybe I should have fired that person sooner. It would have solved a lot of problems. Of course, absolutely. Every time I watch the season, I want to improve. Every time.
Was there a specific? I mean, I don't. I'm not asking about anything. Just
I think
one that.
honestly, no, I don't think it's one specific thing. I think it's accumulation of all things. And um last season, I probably, I waited. You could see that in the trailer. Like there's a lot of, I get very angry with one of the crew members, and I probably should have addressed it sooner. Other than that, like I don't have specifics of each one because there's so many.
Yeah, yeah,
Like for me, I always want to improve as a leader, always.
yeah. Do you find? I mean, with yachting, and I suppose with being a captain, I mean, I would imagine with leadership, I mean, there are a lot of kind of transferable skills to other industries. Um, I mean, from the people that you've worked with over the years, I mean, have most of them have kind of stayed in the yachting industry, I guess, or have they moved on to other kind of areas?
Yeah, from what I've seen, a lot of them have found a way that really works for them. I think the show's done a great thing by casting people, and they go, wow, like this is a really cool industry. I think I'll stay in. But I think the shocker is when they actually work on another boat, they go, wow, I actually have to work. I'm not going to go out to dinner every second night. What do you mean you're not going to pay these lavish meals? Like, I think the lavish meals is, something of, we don't really do that. We do go out for nice dinners. We have a chef that cooks for us, but we don't spend money like that.
No, yeah, I kind of I thought that as well. Like having like a great chef on board, you'd think, okay, he can just cook for everybody. Why would you? Why is money? But
He
yeah, I
does,
guess you're not paying for it. True.
or she does.
Or she? Yeah, sorry, apologies. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm wondering. I mean, do you? I'm not. Do you, now that you've gotten engaged, and obviously that will change your life, and you've been married before, but I'm wondering, I mean, do you see yourself continuing on for another season with Below Deck Med? Do you have a time limit that you're going to kind of bow out, or do you want to just see how it goes?
Yeah, I've never been married before. This will be my first
Oh,
time.
sorry,
Yeah,
God.
Leah has. But of course, why wouldn't I? I love the franchise. I love the networks. Hayu's an incredible network. Um, Great people behind the scenes, great people that really bring it to the screen. And I'm really grateful to be a part of the franchise.
Yeah. You mentioned there about I guess that we've kind of been talking about the TV. I mean, obviously, the amount of footage that they would kind of capture on a 6 week period. I mean, there is that thing of I've heard the term before, like the villain edit. And, you know, has it been your experience that what you've seen on the show has varied significantly from your own personal experience, or has
I
there
don't know.
been much of a difference?
There's
Like,
no villain edit on Below Deck franchise. Did they edit? Because we do a job. You
right.
can't edit us not doing our job. We do a physical job, right? So the storyline is the storyline. It is raw and real. There's no villain edit ever. Hey, listen, if you act like a villain, then you're a villain. How can they make you look like a villain?
Yeah.
Either you're, you know what I mean? You can't change that. I don't care how you edit.
Yeah. Has there been, but I mean, in any of the seasons, has there, I mean, leave aside the villain edit thing. I mean, has there ever been a situation where you've looked at an episode or you've looked at a season, you're like, okay, they got some of that, but they didn't get that part of it? I mean, has that ever happened?
Honestly, I think the amount of footage that's filmed, it's impossible to fit it all in. I have never looked at a season and thought, why didn't they put that in? That's never crossed my mind.
Yeah. It's never been mischaracterized, in other words. Like, it's
No,
never.
not for me, not me personally.
Yeah. I mean, do you actually, that's actually another question. And I mean, do you and Captain Lee, I mean, have you ever crossed paths before? I mean, do you know him? Are you chatty with him? Anything like
Yes,
that?
years ago, we're not chatty. We lived separate lives, but years ago we were at the same arena. I didn't really know him then. We
Right.
didn't really talk at the marina.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, lovely to meet you, Captain Sandy.
You too. Thank you.
I don't want a person like you on board.
Oh my god! Kyle, you are a horrible human.
Fit in the shoebox, honey, so are you.